Cutaway, sticky, washout, fusible, adhesive. How do you know which kind of stabilizer to use? Today's video, we're going to be covering all those different kinds of stabilizers and more. How to embroider on a t-shirt knit, and how to hoop an embroidery so it will be successful. So what's new, everyone? I'm Susan Anderson. Welcome to Susan So Creative, where it's only wrong when it doesn't work. Today's topic is stabilizers. Are you confused by stabilizers? Most people are. So many different kinds. How do you know which one to use and where to use them? How do you know when to try something different? Regardless of what you plan to embroider, you will be needing a stabilizer. And there's some basic rules to follow to get the best results. Let's head over to the cutting station and we'll set some hooping up. Let's start with the basics. Tearaway. Plain tearaway you will want to have on hand as a floater underneath your embroideries. And it tears easily from the back side of your embroideries when you're done. There's also a pressure sensitive tearaway or a sticky. This is used when you don't want to hoop your project. And then there's a fusible. This is used on the back of soft fabrics that have a tendency to shift, but that you will be hooping with your embroidery machine. Your pressure sensitive or sticky stabilizer actually has a coating of a waxy paper that you will need to peel away to expose the sticky underneath. So you want to make sure you have the waxy paper up when you have it in the hoop. And it's again done on woven fabrics. The next set of stabilizers are Cutaway products. These are used for embroidery on knit fabric, such as a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. Cutaway comes in a variety as well. You have a plain cutaway that you can use when you're going to embroider non-freestanding projects. You have a fusible that goes to the back of your t-shirt knits or your sweatshirt knits. This is important because you want to keep that cutaway in the project, because if you're wearing it, you could stretch it and you don't want the embroidery stretched out of shape. It also comes in color, so if you're using a lightweight knit fabric, you can match the color so that you don't have a show through. And then of course you have the pressure sensitive again, or the sticky. This is again used when you don't want to hoop your project, but you do want to obviously attach it to the hoop as you're doing the embroidery. It again has the peel away kind of a waxy or wax paper type surface, and when you put it in the hoop, you want to make sure that side is up. The last group of stabilizer are the dissolvables. When you don't want any stabilizer left in the project, or you're creating a standalone embroidery such as lace. I've used it here on this embroidered napkin. Built-in stitches and some snowflakes, but I didn't want to be able to see the stabilizer on the back because there's no lining to it. Badge Master is the one you're going to use for your freestanding lace. It's very thick and heavy. Then you have the topping. This is a lightweight. You'll be using this for every embroidery project you do. And you have the pressure sensitive for hard to hoop projects. This again is the sticky side, okay? And will dissolve in warm water. The last is the heat dissolvable. This is for projects you don't want to wash out, such as a bath towel that has loops that would poke through the embroidery after it's laundered, because it would be laundered out. With the heat dissolve, it stays in place under the satin stitching. Let's hoop for a basic knit embroidery. I'm taking a pressure sensitive Tearaway and putting that into my hoop first. You want to make sure that the waxy paper side is up in your hoop. You shouldn't have to loosen the screw in order to hoop stabilizer alone. If you're hooping fabric and stabilizer, you may need to adjust the size. Once you have your stabilizer in your hoop and you're happy that it's not wrinkled, it's not going anywhere, then you're going to go ahead and score it. I use my stylus that I use for sewing, and I'm going to just trace around the inside of my hoop and then from corner to corner. I'm not pressing real firm, just firm enough to slit the paper. Then I'm going to pick up the center and peel off all the paper from the inside of the hoop. Since I'm stitching the design onto a sweatshirt, I need to find the center of my front first. So I'm going to match my shoulder seams, fold it, and just place a pin at the neckline. Then matching my side seams, I'll place another pin further down the front. This will give me when I don't want to press, this will just give me a fold line to follow. Now I can't use my normal blue washout marker because it's a black sweatshirt. So I'm going to choose a white chalk pencil. And to do this, I'm just going to open the sweatshirt out, leaving the pins in place, and draw a line between the two pins. This is going to be my vertical center front. And then I've just done one cross line, giving me a position approximately where I want the center of my design to be. Next, I've turned my sweatshirt inside out, and I've cut a piece of fusible black cutaway and just pressed it in place. Notice I did an up and down motion, not a back and forth ironing motion to attach the stabilizer. Now let's put it into my prepared hoop. Going inside, and I want to line up my pins. I've left my pins in place because sometimes it's easier to see on the wrong side. I want to line those up with the top center and bottom center of my hoop. Let's zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. There it is. My hoop happens to have a little bit of a raised mark where I can find it for my center, so I know exactly where that's going to be. And same thing on the bottom side of my hoop as well as on the cross. So I give all 4 points already marked on my hoop, and I'm sure your machine does too. Once I've got that stuck down, I'm going to remove the pins. I don't want to embroider with the pins there. Press firmly. I'm now going to cut a piece of lightweight dissolvable topping to go on top of my sweatshirt. This is going to keep the thread from embedding into the knit itself. It'll lay on top the way it's supposed to. Just like so. So let's go to the machine. At my machine, I've got all my layers in place. Depending upon the number of stitches, if you have over 10,000 stitches in your embroidery, for instance, you may want to use a plain tearaway floater between the bed of the machine and your hooped project. After you've got that all layered up, you do want to do a baste around and keep all the layers together. This is just a nice safety precaution. You don't want those to slip and slide while you're trying to do your embroidery. Basting it will hold everything in place the way it's supposed to be. Be careful and make sure you don't get your shirt under your hoop. I've done that before. Now we'll start with our embroidery. And I'm just going to follow the color changes and so forth the way it is, and we'll just let the machine go. Don't forget to stop by your dealership and pick up the stabilizers that you need. My embroidery's done. Cut off a little extra stabilizer, make it easier for me to remove from my machine, and then we'll take it back over to the cutting station and remove the stabilizer. First things first, let's remove the tearaway It peels easily from the back of the embroidery. The embroidery actually cuts the tearaway for you. Now, my cutaway, which I'm going to leave most of that in, is larger than I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little iron and I'm going to warm it to help release some of the fusible that is in there. So this time I'm just going to do little swirly motions. I'm not going to fuse it, I'm releasing it by warming it up to loosen that glue again. And we're just going to do that all the way around the sides of the embroidery and help release whatever might be stuck beyond where we want to be. Then I'm going to cut close to my embroidery. Be careful not to cut your project or your embroidery, and just trim the extra away. Now the last thing I have to do is remove the stabilizer from the front of my project. This topping tears very easily. I'm not worried about it being removed with laundering under the satin stitching, simply because there are no loops to be poking through for it, so it's fine just to use a washout. Hope you enjoyed my video today and picked up some tips on making stabilizers less confusing. Remember to download the handout from the description below, so you will have that as a reference material next time you're going to embroider. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see on my channel, drop me a note and I'll try and get it done for you. See you next time, and remember, it's only wrong if it doesn't work.